You know, I've gotten to know Masha the last couple of years. I've had her in PE class, teaching 6th and 7th grade, and she's tremendous growth, you know, from where she was and where she is now. I think a lot of it is about confidence, and really impressed as to who she is now. You know, she has the ability to come in and just light up a room, whether you want her to or not. Maybe it's like a light switch. It's on and off. Maybe a dimmer switch when you define it. It's like somewhere in the middle. No, but you know, she is a hard worker. You know, I think in middle school it's not cool to like work hard and try hard, and you might not show it, but I think you'll see through her me project, and as much as many of you know, she does work hard, and she's a great asset to the co-advisory, and we love having her. So, Masha, you ready?
Sure.
All right, here we go.
Don't let others define you. You define yourself. Ginny Romney. One thing I've truly learned in middle school is that you can't change who you are just because of someone else. No matter what people tell you or say to you or do to you, nothing can change the fact that you are who you should be. I have learned that following the norms of society is what everyone strives to do just to fit in. And in doing so, it doesn't show people who you really are. But once you realize this, you make sure that you stay true to who you are and what you believe in. I believe in many things, and pushing myself to the limit was one thing I always told myself to never give up. This had never been an issue, especially when it came to gymnastics. Ever since I was about 3 years old, I had only known gymnastics. It was all my world ever revolved around. I used to love going to practice, learning to do fun, cool tricks, like cartwheels and handstands, and getting to show them off to my friends. But once I got older, things became a little different. Everything got much more serious, and skills grew more and more difficult every year. But when those years came, I had to learn to push myself even further out of my comfort zone than I had done the year before. I tried to perfect all the crazy skills we were doing, like back handsprings on beam, back layouts on floor, Yuchenkos on vault, and so on. One of the craziest things with this was that those tricks often led to broken bones and torn ligaments. It always scared me that I could end up like my friends, but I was lucky enough to only have broken a toe. This is difficult to believe because I put in so many hours at the gym there. There were multiple nights where I didn't get to eat dinner until midnight. I constantly hated going to practice, and the only thing that really kept me there were my friends. They meant so much to me that I couldn't even bear thinking about losing them. But the time eventually came when my coach would not stop yelling at me because I couldn't stake my front tuck. He made me go through the routine 3 times in a row, which is way more intense than it actually seems. This ended up with me throwing up over a trash can. I could not stand to be in that place a minute longer, and so I ended up leaving. There were just so many times where I dreaded even starting the day because I knew it would end with me going to practice. So the last year that I did gymnastics was in 6th grade, when my parents finally let me quit. Throwing away 10 years of my life spent on a sport was so difficult. The memories never forgotten, always engraved in the back of my mind. The people I spent so much time with that I considered them family. I spent so much of my life there, it was almost like a second home. Now I sometimes look back on those years and kind of miss what it was like to have a second part of my life. But soon it wouldn't be like that. At first I felt bare, but my parents made me choose another year-round sport. I chose swimming. I had been swimming on the middle school team since 5th grade. I wasn't completely horrible because when I was younger I used to swim for Blairwoods on Sunday. I slowly got better and I became decent compared to my friends at the time. After I quit gymnastics, I decided to join Triton in 7th grade. This year is my 2nd short course season of swimming year-round. I've gotten so much better at swimming. Maybe not exactly where I want to be right now, but I'm close to a couple of state cuts. I even went to regionals for varsity swimming and made it back to finals in an event. Also, I had a meet about 2 weeks ago, and I improved all of my times, getting me closer to each and every one of my goals. One thing I've learned about any sport really is that you always have to push yourself. Sometimes you can even push yourself too far, but what's scarier than that is not pushing yourself enough, regretting the fact that you could have done better, but you were too scared to try. I was honestly too scared to try a lot of things, but talking to people was not one of them. I had always loved to talk ever since I was little. You could partner me up with anybody, and no matter what, I would always find something to talk about with them. Miss Hendricks always tried to get me to stop talking, but I just could not. Going into 6th grade, all my teachers told my parents that talking in class would be one of my biggest problems. And it was. 7th grade was probably the worst for me because I managed to get 13 points from Mr. Franco just for talking in class. Halfway through the year, I realized when to stop talking and when I was coming close to getting another point. So now, in 8th grade, I think I'm getting better at not talking as much. At least I hope I am. but I still sometimes have trouble not talking math, which doesn't make learning each unit any less difficult. When I was younger, I loved math so much. Whenever we would be learning addition, I would ask my brother to teach me subtraction. Then when we were learning subtraction, I would beg him to teach me multiplication, and so on. So naturally, learning new material in math was so easy. I wouldn't ever have to study for tests or quizzes or anything really. But once 7th grade came along, it became far more difficult for me to understand what was going on. I would have to ask so many questions in class. I would go to my teacher for help during study hall, and sometimes when I thought I understood everything that day, I would go running to my brother for help. Of course, he wasn't the best at helping because he had forgotten almost everything that was taught to him. He would spend an hour trying to figure it out, writing down a bunch of work for me to find out the next day that he had gotten the answer completely wrong. I never told him though because I thought it would hurt his ego way too much. Nowadays, I have a lot more trouble with math, but it has become so easy to ask for help in such an accepting environment like collegiate. I'm no longer uncomfortable with feeling dumb or not as smart because sometimes there are people that are just as confused and lost as I am. Although math can be difficult at times, middle school was one thing that I always looked forward to. And it was one of the biggest letdowns I'd ever gone through. I only truly connected with one of my teachers, that type of teacher that you go to when you honestly just need someone to talk to. She helped me start to realize who I was and the kind of person I wanted to be, which led me to grow as a person in the future. Once 6th grade was over with, 7th grade was finally on its way. That was when I took everything that teacher taught me and used it to make myself truly grow as a person. Not only did I evolve, but I became more aware of the people around me. I cared about somebody other than myself for once. I started acknowledging what the people around me were going through in their lives, and I tried to make sure I did everything I could to make them feel better. This led me to be able to talk about more meaningful and serious topics with my friends, making the connection between each and every one of them even stronger. In 8th grade, I only grew closer and closer to the friends I had, and I loved spending as much time as I could with them. Developing my relationships with friends made me able to trust more people. It also made me realize who not to trust. There have been a lot of crazy things that have happened this year, but I got through them, and those experiences made me figure out who I truly am and who my true friends are. Speaking of who I truly am, these past couple of years in middle school have really made me bring myself to show people who I am. I've begun to be more open with people about my personal life and things going on at home. Speaking about my personal life is one thing I thought I would never be comfortable doing. Having an actual conversation with people about the issues that I've had made it much easier to get through them because they're going through the exact same situations. It also made me realize that no matter what happened, I would always have people that would be loyal to me and support me. But some things are just too difficult to talk about, so I have to keep it in. And doing so started leading to anxiety, especially now that I started swimming year-round. Swim meets are probably the worst because all I want is to do my best, but I get so nervous and anxious about how I will do that I start freaking out, and the feeling is one of the worst things in the world. I feel like I'm going to run out of air, and the idea of that scares me even more. But this has started affecting me daily, from tests and quizzes to speaking in front of the class. I actually can't believe that someone managed to get me up here and read this. One of the two things that helped me with this is volunteering. This is something I have a huge interest in. It not only brings me joy to help others, but it also brings joy to those I help. Over the years, one of the best times volunteering was at this big warehouse. Many people donated Christmas gifts to the less fortunate. We put these gifts in big bags sorted by toys that children were asking for and some clothes for the winter. Then, on my birthday, we went back to the warehouse to deliver the presents to everybody. These presents were collected by both the parents and the kids. Getting to see the children's reactions were almost indescribable. Knowing that I got to help make their Christmas even better was just incredible. That feeling made it seem like I had actually made a difference, and I hope to spend a much more significant amount of time volunteering. This is one thing that I believe honestly anyone could learn to love. As an end goal in the future, I hope to travel to South Africa to join the Habitat for Humanity project to help build houses for people that aren't as fortunate as us, and to let those families live their lives the way they should be able to. Eventually, I would like to take on different types of projects all around the world. This leads me to the second thing that helps me with anxiety, which is traveling. Getting the opportunity to travel around the world is something I'm so grateful for. Thanks to my parents, I'm given an off switch to everything that I worry about by getting to travel and learn about different cultures. One of the best parts about traveling is the different types of food I get to try. From chicken's heart to llama tacos, from frog legs to guinea pig. But my all-time favorite cuisine is Russian food. I love getting to visit Russia and spending time with my family there. Getting to spend fun late nights with my godmother, or just staying home trying to put a Rubik's Cube together with my aunt. No matter what we do, it means so much to me. The fact that I have been given this family is quite unbelievable. Throughout my entire middle school, not only has my family shaped me into the person I am, but my friends have always been by my side every step of the way. I know it's kind of cliche, but I don't know what I would do without them. I'm so grateful to have such amazing friends that listen to my ongoing rants and have spent time with me whenever I have wanted. They're always there for me when I need them most, especially when I'm going through tough times. They constantly support me and my decisions, and I can't be more thankful to have them in my life. I would also like to thank my mom and dad. The two of you have always pushed me to think ahead, pushed me to dream, and pushed me to achieve everything I've ever wanted. Even when I was little, you told me to strive for things that I know that now didn't know I would ever be able to accomplish. But I would also like to say thank you for all the opportunities you have given me. Getting to go to such an amazing school like Collegiate is something I have never said thank you for, and for that I'm sorry. Because I should have been thanking you every day for the fact that you guys have been preparing me for my future ever since day one. Next, I would like to thank my brother. Even though we don't always get along, and sometimes you frustrate me so much, there were clearly many times where you actually taught me something valuable. For one, you have definitely shown me what not to do. First of all, by procrastinating. You were always turning in projects and papers very last minute and never getting a chance to get some feedback. That taught me to never do anything the day it is due. But learning from your mistakes is something that not everybody has a chance to do. I was lucky enough to have an older brother like you to teach me topics in school ahead of time, which is one reason that I am so much better than I should be in school. You have especially made me stronger emotionally. Honestly, it's because you make fun of me every chance you get. Literally, I don't think you could be more persistent than you already are. But by doing so, you have taught me to stop caring as much about what other people think and what other people say shouldn't matter. Lastly, I would like to thank Mr. Beasley for not only teaching me about literature in the classroom, but for getting to have those deep conversations about life, even if it ends up with him telling me to shut up because he actually has some work to get done. And also for being the first person to make me realize that being different than everybody else isn't a bad thing. Being different doesn't make people like you less, and even if it does, it shouldn't matter. The only thing that matters is the kind of person you truly are, and that other people can't force you to be something you aren't. Because in the end, you wouldn't be yourself. You would just be an imperfect version of what they want you to be. No matter what, in your entire life, there will always be someone that wants you to change, that tries to decide who you should be entirely. But don't let them control you. Firmly hold your ground, stay true to who you are, and as Ginny Romney said, don't let anyone else define you.